say the quiet part out loud, please. Marriage doesn't sanctify your relationship. Hell, the pastor that married y'all then got caught up cheating with the women in the church about 3-4 times his damn self. What's up, y'all? It's your girl, the Chaplain of the Culture, and I'm here to expand ideas and grind your gears, but I promise you're going to have a good time repping for all the Yale MDivs around the world. As promised, I took some notes about how Joe Budden had his commentary of Drea, right? So Joe Budden calls Drea a predator. We're just going to get right into it. Joe Budden calls Drea a predator on one of his podcast episodes. Now, when he called Drea a predator, that might have been like a month ago. This is when it was just rumored that she was pregnant because she wore overalls at a Rockets game. And she's known to show the tummy. Also, bring overalls back. Like, it is definitely a look.
Did y'all see Drea in overalls at the Rockets game with all of the fans speculating that she may be pregnant from a 21-year-old Jalen Green, who's the same age as Drea's oldest son? Well, now you got a baby by a 21-year-old. You are a predator. This is nuts. That whole circle that is predatory and targeting these young kids in college, high school. Y'all acting like Nike.
After the commentary on Drea, Joe Budden has a podcast episode about a month or two later. And this is what he has to say about a particular music mogul, we all know him, who is in Bali, presumably to dodge SA allegations.
They love Russell Simmons. There's nothing y'all could do to make people stop loving Russell Simmons. That's true. Not to negate anything that he has done, that stuff. But to people that don't have that experience with him, he has been nothing but kind, gentle, sweet, generous, and amazing.
This is what he has to say about Drea.
You got a baby by a 21-year-old. You are a predator.
This is what he has to say about this man.
He has been nothing but kind, gentle, sweet, generous, and amazing.
Mind you, Drea doesn't have any SA allegations that we know about. And in comparing the two videos, the commentary just does not fit. Yes, many of us will agree that an almost 20-year age gap with anyone in their early 20s is predatory. I don't disagree with that. But did he forget about Kimora Lee Simmons?
I was a very young, probably too young bride.
This man did the same thing to Kimora that Drea did to Jalen. Got them an 20-something-year-olds in 18-year contracts. And from what I read, Kimora was only 17 when they met. But if you ask your mamas and your aunties like I did, she was even younger than that. And I'm waiting for it. Okay, there it is. Oh, but they got married. We have got to stop with this insatiable need to fix everything with marriage. It has to come to an end, like immediately. If your man is cheating on you with a girl you can't stand, marry him. One up the hoe. If your girl is finally ready to leave you and is serious this time, propose. If y'all got a baby on the way, get married. Y'all treat marriage like a catch-all bucket for messed up relationships. It doesn't make any sense because your husband's still cheating on you with a girl you can't stand. Your wife is still bored with you and ready to leave. And the baby just makes things worse. Y'all could have been two happy human beings co-parenting, but now y'all are two miserable human beings stuck together. But if we just put a period on it, using marriage as a catch-all, we might be able to embrace the institution of marriage in a healthy way without treating it like a magic wand. Wingardium Leviosa, or however you say it. Boom, your relationship is messed up and you actually shouldn't get married. And let's just say the quiet part out loud, please. Marriage doesn't sanctify your relationship. Hell, the pastor that married y'all then got caught up cheating with the women in the church about 3-4 times his damn self. Yes, marriage is mentioned in the Bible, and we're going to use the Bible as an authoritative reference, which is questionable. But the concept that marriage is a union ordained by God is reaching quite a bit. And let me pull back the layers for all of us who's like, oh, not blasphemy. God wants everyone to get married. As soon as you become 13, you need to be. Let me pull back the layers come here. It's gonna be okay. Let me pull back the layers, all right? Marriage in the Bible is treated at the very best, like a cherry on top to your life. Let's take one of the verses. A man that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. That's great. It doesn't mean that other things don't elicit God's favor as equally. In Proverbs alone, we can get favor by doing like 5 other things. Keeping the commandments and binding them around your neck, you get favor. You receive favor from being humble. You get favor from being a good man. And I can go on and on, but the point is, favor gets passed out a lot. The desire to emphasize one good thing over other good things, it be given obsessed. Yeah, real bad. It be given obsessed real bad. We have marriage ministries, but we don't have be humble ministries. We don't have wearing the commandments or binding them around your neck ministries. But churches and Christians tend to use marriage as a trajectory in which one's life should aim, and it never gave that. Like the only other verse, because this is the ones, these are for the Christianese. I got it for you. I know. You're going to bring it up, so I'm going to bring it up first, right? The only other verse that even gets close to the idea that God sanctifies marriage and is to the trajectory of which everybody's life should aim is Matthew 19, 4-7. And again, that's if we're using the Bible as an authoritative reference, and that's very questionable and dangerous. But we can get into those things later. If you have questions about that, I can deconstruct the authoritative nature of the Christian Bible as we know it, right? But Matthew 19, 4-7. That is a scripture pertaining to divorce. And we can't understand this verse without properly understanding meta-narrative. Best way to describe a meta-narrative is like this. If a mother is to tell a child not to touch a stove, and that's written down somewhere, and an outsider who doesn't know what a stove is would think maybe something's wrong with the stove. Maybe the stoves are bad. But the meta-narrative that people who don't know what a stove is that stoves get hot. And for children, they can be dangerous. But once older and trained on how to properly use the stove, then it's okay to touch. Nothing's wrong with it. Nothing's wrong in it of itself. But if I'm an alien and I just read, Mom said not to touch the stove, I could conclude that stoves are bad and just never touch them whatsoever if I stumble across one. Not that I need to be trained on it. All of those things I don't know. In the same sense, when Jesus is reputed to have said in Matthew 19:5, man shall leave his wife. Man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So then they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no man separate. Oh, y'all think y'all got me. Let me explain the meta-narrative, please. And this is why we need to understand cultural context. An unwed virgin woman has no life and no place in this particular society. And Jesus understood this cultural context. She has no rights. She has no personhood. She has no autonomy. Young women had to be with their fathers or with their husbands in order to be protected. And if you want some scholarship, then I can do another video and post receipts. I got time to give resources and read anybody who is devoid of historic and cultural context. Jesus knew the danger of a divorced woman. All throughout the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible, these people are gauging piety by if you took care of the orphan, the poor, and the widow. Because once a woman is absent, a man in this particular society, she's cooked. Nobody wants anything to do with her. They only want young virgins. Daddy done already made the dowry money off of her years ago because marriage was a tool for men to make money off of daughters and for men to claim women, girls, so that other men would not be able to claim them. And again, if you want to tussle about it, I can pull peer-reviewed, academically acclaimed, published works to support all this cultural richness that I'm giving now. Now, the idea that Jesus does not advocate for divorce is a shallow reading. The idea that, oh, Jesus don't want divorce. Once you marry, that's a shallow reading. Jesus didn't want these men to simply discard these women, who knowing that they have no viable options. You know how some folks' daddies did they mamas? Used them up and set them free? Yeah, Jesus was against that. Because that very much was what they was trying to do. But Jesus is like, nah, bruh, you took the oath that Adam established. And you had no problem with it when sis was a young virgin. And you're not about to all of a sudden have a problem with it now that she's not a young virgin anymore. And then Jesus doubled down, 10 toes, standing on business. Jesus doubled down and says, as a matter of a fact, all of y'all are committing adultery. If you think you about to leave sis high and dry, I shouldn't say that, but you know what I mean. If you think you about to leave sis stranded out here for no good cause, she didn't do nothing, because y'all playing in my face right now real bad. Jesus could be looked at as a budding feminist. If you pay close attention to how Jesus engages with the women, it's revolutionary for his time. Now, he did call that one lady a dog, but I said budding for a reason. The point is, the idea that marriage sanctifies a relationship is a big reach. When Jesus also goes on to say, if you want to marry, that's fine. If you don't want to marry, that's fine too. I mean, it's not really for everybody. How did it go from Jesus being a girl's girl, like you not going to leave my sis stranded, to marriage makes all relationships better? Kimora Lee Simmons said herself that she was too young of a bride. She literally, now I'm going to pull up the video, right? She literally starts crying. And you can tell she is thinking back to how young she was.
Those of you that know me here also know what kind of parent I am. I have been a parent pretty much all my life. I was a very young, probably too young bride. So I had these kids very early.
If marriage sanctified a predatory relationship, if marriage sanctified predatory behavior, we wouldn't have this woman on live looking back at her life 20 years ago, literally breaking down in tears. And I know a lot of our grandmamas did it. I know you're thinking back to, well, great-great-grandma was like 12 and grandma and auntie such and such was like 15. Yes, I understand that. But that doesn't mean they didn't cry. That doesn't mean that they weren't in pain and hurt about it. Very hurt about it. That means that they kept that pain inside with them because it wasn't for you. That wasn't a pain that they was going to put on you, because it was a pain that never should have been put on them. Back to Kimora, it was in that moment of reflection for Kimora that her waterworks started. She is defending her children in this video. It's about them not being brainwashed. These girls are very smart. They know what's what. So it's a very emotional video altogether. But them tears started flowing thinking about how young she was in that relationship. And marriage didn't make it better. We have to ask ourselves, do we want this for our daughters and our sons? Do we want them to look back on their lives 20 years later and cry? Being hurt and betrayed by a society that allows and exempts predatory behavior. Kimora was somebody's baby too. How do we protect our two young adults from the trauma that predators try to bring to them? People will say, just mind your business. But if mind your business means to live in a world where our only hope is that it isn't your kid, that's insufficient. What do y'all think that we need to do about predatory behavior when it comes to intimate partner relationships? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe, like, follow, and share. And I'll see y'all next time.